Scrum, Safe, and what's not. I wrote my first white paper in 2011. It was published internationally. And then later on, 2-3 white papers published. That was basically on how to improve productivity with agility. How to improve productivity with agility. Just implementing agile principles. So I'm not a very big fan of any of the frameworks, but I'm a big fan of the principles and values that Agile Manifesto tells you. So the question is, was this situation estimated, the situation we are in, the COVID situation? So these are some of my pictures I took today. I'm in a very small village because the COVID situation was really Maharashtra. And then I moved to a small village here where my daughter was actually living in. So we are a bunch of happy people here in a very small village. So was this estimated? Was this forecasted? Was this kind of like that? Estimation. We'll discuss about why, when, and how. So basic question to all of you. Why do we do estimation? And when do we do estimation? People, you can unmute yourself and answer that question. Why do we estimate?
To have a proper structure.
Proper structure, okay. What else?
To make things ready before planning.
Okay.
How many items can be included?
To evaluate something.
So we can know like what is the value delivered versus the time it will take.
Okay, so this is
you can forecast to forecast.
IT. Estimation is a very general term that is used for in general life also, normal life, wherein how much salt to put in your food, how much sugar to put in your tea or coffee. These are all estimations, right? These are all estimations. How much is sufficient to make sure the test you get, the predict, the amount you get, earnings that you can have, project you can finish. So these are all predictions that you make. So prediction and estimation. You can see a picture here. So why is I'm sure that you would reach there? How much money you would get? How much fun you would get? How much test or how good test you would get kind of. So everywhere estimation is there. When do we estimate? When do we estimate? Sid sir is here. When do we estimate? Do we estimate every time?
Maybe if we want some accuracy towards the work that we are doing, so we would want to have some estimation so that we are actually nearer to the goal as compared to when it is non-estimated.
Okay. So when you want accuracy, any other answers?
If you are
We would estimate the first time, and then based on the estimation or the result that we get, we'd work further.
Okay.
When we do the estimation, it's two events. And if you are working in Scrum, one in planning, this is one.
Yeah.
The second one, it's second one you're doing around the sprint itself. It's about reordering and re-estimated work items.
Okay.
Okay, it's like 10 to 15% of the event itself. For if you are working with Kanban, it's about replenishment. Okay, before you do it, you need to get ready to take it to next stage.
Sure.
If I might interrupt.
Yes, please.
In my opinion, in my humble opinion, what I would say is that we're doing estimation, first of all, is to try and define the complexity of what we're doing.
Okay. Yes. So how much?
Yeah, how complex is it?
Complex it is, yes. So whenever some quantitative question comes into your mind, when someone asks you when you would deliver this particular project, when you would finish your food.
Can I add to this, your question?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is Ravi this side. Okay. I think when we start estimating first time when we are building the product backlog. Okay.
Okay.
And when the product owner come out with what are required to be done and how is the epic, sub epics, stories. So that was the time you start initial estimation. You will start. You may be using the WSJF in the beginning, and then for down the line when you are coming more closer, when coming to the story, you are starting. Okay. When you are doing it further down the line, when you are starting the sprint.
Yeah.
Or before the starting of your Kanban flow, you are doing further before what can be. So at that time, you go into the story, you are breaking into this task level. Okay. You are further refining. And when the sprint start, then grooming is also required. As you are much clear about the, okay, what is the scope and what is the complexity involved in this story, then you are further refining it and grooming those. So these are what I have just, what I based on my experience and just I'm sharing it.
Good. Thank you so much for bringing in your experience here. So I have just put a link, a Mentimeter link. I'm asking you a question. What is the estimation technique that you're using today? Okay, let's see. The link is in the chat room. And I see some, so guesstimates is the, let's see, are you voting? We have 24 people. Guesstimate.
How do we access the link?
You just need to click on the link given in the chat room.
Okay, cheers. Thank you.
So I see on the first now it goes story sizing. Okay, now more and more people coming with story sizing. Second, guesstimates, expert based, function pointing, wideband Delphi, any other, no estimates, awesome. Yeah, somebody says no estimates. I would like to hear from them. Anybody said no estimates here? Okay, very good. So story sizing, guesstimates, function pointing, expert based, wideband Delphi, any other. Okay. That's a good number to see and good chart to see. So majority of the people are already following story charting, story sizing here. And then second number, function pointing, very good. Third number, I like that particular kind of estimation technique. Now, third becomes the expert-based estimation. Okay, so function pointing is going down. Wideband Delphi is going down. That's good. Thank you so much for sharing your answers. So I'd like to share my screen here. So what's the reality? The experiential wisdom says there's no estimation in this world which is 100% accurate. Okay, and if it's 100% accurate, it may not be an estimate altogether. There are certain words like happily married. Can you see that on my screen? Accurately wrong. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can say with experience, I've been married for almost 40 years now.
Awesome. Your estimation was accurate, I believe. Was it an estimation or it's an experience that you have managed or maneuvered yourself?
At the beginning, you always think that, oh, everything is going to go positive. It doesn't always, life doesn't happen like that.
Oh, sure. That's good. Okay. So, yeah, Mr. Heisenberg, if you have studied physics in your curriculum earlier, so he said that there are two things that we generally try to estimate in physics: the speed with which things are traveling atoms, particles, objects in this particular universe, and its state, where are exactly they now? You cannot estimate both the things at the same time. Either you can define the state where the object is, or define the speed or the movement of that particular object or particle. So uncertainty is everywhere. Here, I hope you are able to see my screen. On the x-axis is the estimation accuracy percentage side of it, and the y-axis tells the time. So let us see what the efficiency curve says. I hope anybody in this room have already read a book called Mythical Man-Month, must be knowing about this particular concept. So I'm taking Mythical Man-Month, okay? So if you give certain time to estimate some work, any kind of work, whether it may be software work, whether you're actually building a home, so how much time it would need to create that home, or maybe even in kitchen version or making tea, anything that is really experiential here and connected to this particular graph. So wherever there is complex work that needs to be done, see, you put more and more time, see the graph on the x-axis, more and more time, the estimation accuracy goes up. Okay, you can see that we almost reached 80%. But the irony is, now after certain duration, if you put more time, what happens? See, this happens. The curve goes down. It means if you put more time in this time, it will reduce the efficiency, or the estimation accuracy will reduce. And sometimes I call it as the analysis paralysis zone. So you analyze too much that you go into certain zone that it is unproductive. And this is really fact about all the estimations, especially the complex work estimations, also in IT industry. So this is coming from Mythical Man-Month. This is a very good statement to make here, and then kind of, so this is a precursor that I'm building here. Any estimation, if you do too much, it will reduce the effectiveness or efficiency or accuracy percentage of it. Now let's go to human aspects of it. Humans are really good in comparing. How do we do that? Let's see my screen. So better than. So we generally say the statements like we are better than that. That I'm saying you can actually compare. I am better than him. He is better than me. He has a better house than me. He earns better than me. Something like that. So we generally keep comparing things. Okay. Now people in my age must be knowing about this particular ad. Why her sari is whiter than mine. You know, there is comparison. If you see in the next, this thing, see. Or sprints, there is comparison. Who's first, who's second, who was ahead, who is behind. So that's a comparison that's happening. So even in generally kids, if you see, I'm taller than you. So this is the comparison that happens. So what's happening here? Humans are really good at I'm better than you. You are better than me. So comparison is happening. Does anybody give any statistics here? Generally not. In human being, generally don't believe in too much of statistics, because human mind is not really good at doing mathematics correctly. That was one aspect I'm telling you. The second aspect of human being or doing any work, especially in the team environment, compare. So comparison is one aspect of human race. The another aspect is consensus, and knowledge is the key for team formation and have better productivity in any of the teams. So taking these two aspects together, so consensus aspect together, anybody in this room must have done wideband DELPHI. It's too highest. We see the band. House people are converging here. You know, now we go to second round. with the new knowledge that these people gave understanding about the subject. Okay, they have certain assumptions, and we go to second round with killing those assumptions with some knowledge. We bring in certain knowledge aspects, we meet together, discuss about the topic, and we go for second round. What happens in second round? They generally drift a little away or kind of, or left or right. But generally what happens, they generally converge somewhere. Now, this is another fact from DELPHI wideband estimation technique. So now, if you mix both, then came your agile estimation technique. And why it is really, really important, methodologies or mechanism or frameworks, what is to say, you estimate first, you analyze first, and then start working holistically. But what Agile says, do not waste too much of time in doing too much of analysis paralysis, but what you should do, you should start doing a little bit of work, experience it, and once the knowledge comes, you would have better estimation of the thing rather than estimating accurately at the start, because it's never going to happen. So let's start working, break into smaller chunks. What is the best possible work that you can do that will be more valuable from end customer perspective? So that's what we do. We start the implementation earlier. We take some smaller chunk, try to estimate with these two aspects. What are the aspects? The comparison. Human mind is good at comparison. So what we do in this comparison, we take two work items. Okay. The first one is generally estimated, maybe sometimes by doing an hour's estimation, break it down into smaller chunks. So for an example, making this pen, how much effort it would take or how much. So based on that, how much time or how much complexity it will take for this particular work to be done. So this comparison can be done in terms of hours as well as majorly the complexity. So what we are discussing here is the complexity comparison here. Okay. In this comparison, we use the Fibonacci series, which starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 20, 20, 40, 100. So these are the numbers that is going in Fibonacci series. However, this is modified Fibonacci series. Yeah. So this is what we, yeah.
Excuse me, sir. There is also an infinity card.
I'm sorry?
In the Fibonacci sequence,
yeah,
there is also an infinity card.
Here in the modified Fibonacci 100, and there are so
okay.
Yeah, you made it right. Do a little bit of estimation. So
Yeah.
So let's do.
Because, no. The reason I said that is because if we go to the infinity card, it means we are going into a spike.
Exactly. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sure. So even infinity or some number, maybe you would like to break it. In how to break it is the first question that comes to your mind. So if you have any question, and estimation, I have certain example for you. That example is we will do estimation for certain fruits. Everyone likes generally fruits. So let's and do estimation by way of comparative analysis and consensus making. So these are the two keywords. Go into estimation technique. I have a link here I'm sharing on your screen. So this tool is called Planet Poker, is used for the comparative Planet Poker estimation technique. Okay, so please check if you have got the link. Please join on this link. You need not log in here. You need not log in here. You just go to this link. Okay, add your name, and I would be able to see it here.
இந்த ஒரு கல்லு ஃபுல்லா இங்க பாரு ஒரு கல்லு ஃபுல்லா ஒட்டி சுத்துறீங்க
Please take the link in chat.
We enter our name. Now it is asking to create. We got a pop-up which is asking.
In chat, there is a link.
Yeah, Vijay, that link is, we need what is the room name?
It is asking to create a room name. Once I given our name, it is another pop-up and it is asking to create a new room. Instead, I think you should be creating and we will be joining that room. Am I right?
So I'm giving you this link, a new link, just a moment.
Yeah, that will be better. So we are just again canceling this.
Okay, sure. So I'm giving you the next link, just a moment here.
Ma? Hey.
Try this link now, which I'm giving on the chat, please.
Yes. Okay. So we should click on this.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, very good. I see Uday joining in. Rainier, Dharmaraj, Nimesh, Samuel, Prashant, Senthil, Kumar, Raghavendran, Ravi, Abhijit, Anil, Amol, Ajit. Very good. Okay. So let's understand how do we do this size estimation or comparative estimation using a technique. Here, and you're also allowed to get into this particular room. Yeah, I see a lot of people joining in now. So this is Fibonacci series numbers here. So 0, half, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and so on. Okay. Unfortunately, infinity we have not covered here. We can also add it.
No, the question mark can represent infinity.
Yes, maybe. So I do not understand. Yeah, I do not understand. I don't know how much. So maybe, yeah, you're right. So what we are gonna do here is we have 3 requirements, so 3 fruits. Let's try it. Let's discuss. Okay. And so we are going to understand what is the complexity of eating.
Yeah, Vijay sir, your voice is breaking.
As Sid sir said, what we do in estimation is generally understand what is or how much is the complexity of doing this particular work. So let's do estimating. So I'm giving you a question. The question is how much complex it is to eat a banana. Number 1 complexity. Number 1 complexity, what is the size? Unit, there's no unit, no kilometer, no inch, no centimeter, no hours. It's just 1 unit. So what we are doing now here is to eat a banana, it is complexity 1. Okay, just for example, just to do it really, can you estimate it as 1, 1, 1? I'll just start this estimation. Click 1, 1, 1, all of you. This is just for trial. Click 1. On your screen, you must be having this Fibonacci series. What you have to do is go here and click on 1 complex. Yeah, I'm waiting for 10 more players to vote, please. Senthil, Raghavendran, Abhijit, Ajit, yeah, Sid, Milind, Rajesh. Okay. Sid, are you able to?
I already clicked on one.
Raghavan and Rajesh? No worries. So I will flip card here. Okay. Will also vote it. Yeah, thank you. So I can see that most people understand how this tool works, so that the next iteration would be there. Eating a banana, this is the complexity. We are understanding that eating banana is 1 complexity. Why 1 complexity? We just give a baseline. Okay, 1 baseline. Somebody says question mark. I think 3 players. Do you have any question? So next story on your screen now is grapes. How much grapes? Whatever is the weight of banana of similar weight. Yeah. So eating those grapes, how much complexity it is? Eating those grapes and throwing it in the dustbin, whatever dust or you make out of it, just throw it into the dustbin. The complexity of grapes should be compared with complexity of eating banana. So if eating banana is complexity 1, you feel grapes is twice as complex as eating banana. If it is 20 times, you can just say 20 times. Okay, what you have to do? You have to eat grapes of the similar weight of that of banana. How many people have voted? Nimish, you are there. You are about to vote. Ajit, you have not voted yet. Milind, Rajesh. Uma voted. Thank you. Milind. Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this voting now. 2 players still waiting. Senthil, can you vote? No, you have voted. Sorry. So yeah. Okay. So we have certain votes here. What does votes say? Uday says half. Renia says 2. Dharmaraj says 8. Abhijit says 20. Amol. This is the range we have here. We have a range from half till 20. Okay. So what WIDEBAND says, ask the people who are voting highest and the lowest. So I'm going to ask Amol, what is your opinion about those grapes half that of banana? Amol, or who says half again? Uday.
So it's actually eating the complexity of eating the banana versus the grapes, right? So it is so simple for eating, just pick the grapes.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas compared, you have an additional step of peeling the skin and eating it. So that is why I waited. So I went with the eating complexity, not with the weighing of banana versus the grapes.
Okay, you don't have to weigh. So I'm giving you clarity now as a product owner or the person who knows this requirement. I'm telling you, you don't have to wait. I'm already giving you the. Yes. Now, Abhijit, Can you tell me why you rated it 20?
Yeah, I didn't have the clarity on what sort of grapes. We only knew like it's only the same weight of banana, but your grapes can have seeds. Okay, so it can be very ripe, raw, very sour. Okay, so many constraints because I don't have the exact data how we need to estimate eating the grape.
Person who knows, I'm going to clarify certain things. What are the clarity? The clarity is all those grapes are seedless grapes. Those are green grapes. Okay. Information I'm going to give you is thinking of eating those grapes in the given time of Corona situation or situation. Okay.
Then I would prefer not to eat at all. In the time of Corona.
With clear situation, the grapes are of the equal weight that of banana. The grapes are seedless grapes, and we have to eat it considering we are in a situation of COVID that we have right now. Okay, think about it, these aspects. Now with new clarity, I would like to clear those votes. What I'm doing now is clearing votes. The first round is over. Clearing vote. Voting lines are open. Please vote again for eating grapes compared to banana. Eating grapes compared to banana. Also, you have to throw it into the dustbin, whatever dust comes out of. Okay, whatever waste material comes out of, you have to throw it. So with the new understanding, now you are voting. I'm waiting for you guys to finish your voting.
Sorry, Vijay, what is the question?
This question is same again. You are voting with the new understanding compared to how complex it is now. Waiting for 4 players to vote. Prashant Senthil has voted. Raghavendran, Amol. Okay, so I'm not gonna wait more. I'm gonna flip cards. Okay, so what does it say? Okay, so now we have votes from half. Uday is again saying half till 30. So you know something? Now the range is reduced. Earlier it was half to 20. Now we have half to 13. Let's go to Milind. What do you say, Milind? Why you are saying eating those grapes is 13 times more complex than banana. Please. Can you please help us with your understanding? Then I would like to go to Uma. Are you there, Uma?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Why you are saying, why you are saying eating is 5 times complex than banana?
Yeah, you've given me 2 more, constraints to go with. And the work that has been added regarding this constraint to the eating of the grapes increases my, points as such, which is not much, but considering the additional work I have put in that.
Eating
Hello?
banana. Yes.
Yeah. So considering the additional COVID situation, which you said, that means I have to be additional cleaning and etc. And so all those things I have taken into account and increased my score.
So you'll have to wash it probably.
Exactly. So those number of activities that increase with the simple eating of grapes versus what we have to do with it, I have increased my score there.
Okay. Uday, what do you say? You are saying half?
Yeah, so it remains the same for me actually. So it is so simple while eating the grapes compared to the banana.
Grapes. Those mean in the COVID situation, you have to eat because you eat unlike banana. So that's an additional complexity that Shah is bringing in. Okay, so you're saying eating grapes is just half the complexity of eating. Third round. So what you are saying, Uday, eating those grapes in the COVID situation is also half the time that of eating banana, right? I think that's what the statement you are making. The third round for the same question, to reset this voting. Okay. Clear votes. Please vote again with the new understanding for same grapes against banana. Ready, steady, go. Yes, Ravi,
Your question, sir. I didn't get your question. I didn't get what was the difference.
In the sense you are saying the first iteration and the second iteration, what's the difference?
Vijay, you are breaking, Vijay. We could not able to hear you. That's why we lost.
We have some additional knowledge with the new discussion. People will.
Vijay, you are breaking. We are not able to hear you properly.
Just small glitch here. So just give me 30 seconds. I'm switching my connection here. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, now it is very clear.
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. I switched the network connection. So I was saying that you are voting for same grapes compared to banana with the new additional understanding. So what is that we are doing here? We are bringing consensus amongst the people with the new knowledge that you are asking certain questions. So we are clarifying the situation. More and more clarity is coming. So what we are understanding here, we are understanding requirements in more details by virtue of questions and by virtue of differences that people have. So with the new understanding, you will have to vote again. Waiting for Prashant and Raghavendran. Are you able to vote? If not, I'll quickly flip. Okay, I'm gonna flip cards. Sorry. Network connection change, there is a glitch. So what is happening majorly here? Majorly, people are actually converging to some state here. We had earlier half to 20. Now let us see what is the voting. Okay, so Sunit is saying 13. Rainier is saying 3. Uday is saying 2. So Uday has moved from half to 2 times. Okay, and Sunit is saying 13. Yes, would like to understand. Sunit. Hello. Sunit, are you there? You are saying eating those small amount of grapes is 13 times complex than eating banana, right? Sunit, are you around? Okay, let's go to Raghavendran. You're saying eating those grapes is 8 times eating banana.
Yeah, banana is just a single item, and the grapes you have multiple number of items, and you need to mention the size of the banana as well. That the equal size you need to assume. No, there are some assumptions there. That's the reason I put it at 8.
Yeah. So I told you grapes would be of the same.
No, same in the sense I need to understand the what is the exact. We need to compare 1 to 1. We need to exact compare 1 to 1. Suppose the banana may be big banana also, it may be small also. It depends on the thing, no? That clarity is not there. That's why I just put it 8.
Very good. So let's take it is a Keralite banana, that Kerala banana, small banana. Does that give you clarity now?
Yeah, if that is the case, I could go with 3.
Go with 3. Awesome. Very good. So what's happening here? I, as a requirement manager or a product owner or a service request manager, I request something to you and you estimate it. And by virtue of this discussion, by virtue of comparison, by virtue of DELPHI wideband, we are coming to some consensus. What agility says, people who are Scrum says, people who are working should estimate their own work and nobody else estimate for them. So we are bringing in knowledge plus consensus here in this room. So we cannot do so many iterations now because of so many people around here in this room, and it would take more and more time. So what should happen? Generally 3 rounds, people would converge to some number. For an example, people say 2, like Sunit says that he's going to 3. Raghavendran, you're saying 3. Sunit, so I'm discarding that. So in that case, what we will have? 2, 3, 2, 3, and maximum 5. So maybe in this case, what I can do is I can take an average of it. So 2, 3, and 5. If I take an average of it, maybe somewhere around 3.5. Sometimes your product owner or requester might say that, hey guys, what will happen if it becomes 5? It is more complex. I'm okay with 5. So team will say, I feel that it is too complexity, but if you are saying that you are estimating on the higher side, that's absolutely okay. Because what will happen if we end up eating it early, project will finish faster. That's absolutely good. Okay. Since this complexity, we are into complex world or complex IT sector, complex IT projects, things are not known upfront. So we need more of consensus building and knowledge experimentation. And that's why we bring in more people together. We do estimation by sizing like this, and then we go ahead and estimate. We always know that estimations are anyways going to be wrong, not absolutely wrong or not absolutely correct, but it is going to be wrong some way or the other. So that's why we just move on quick estimation and then start implementation. Okay, when you go into sprint planning, you might do our best planning or breaking into tasks and give it hours. Sometimes some of the teams are even going ahead with those story points, the points that we are saying, we call it as story points when you actually assign or do work or requirements in terms of the stories, the user stories. I will not go into details of it. If you call your requirements stories, then you will call these points as story point. So one story compared to another one, which is the baseline, you compare it and say it is 2 times. Then you come to third story, and then you have 2 references now. Story point which has 1 complexity, story point which has 2 complexity. The third story, if it is in between somewhere, so you will actually again say that it's 2. Sometimes it may be higher. So what happens is you have a database of multiple stories or requirements with different numbers. So I also call it as, comparing multiple stories or having story mapping of different size. Just compare it and put that story and say that this is in between 3 and 5. So maybe it is size 5. Okay, so this is what is sizing or story sizing estimation. Questions, please. Hello?
Hi, Vijay, Shikha here.
Yes, your voice is a little feeble. Your voice is breaking up.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So Vijay, I have a question. How should we generally, detach team from understanding that the points or the sizing what we are giving to the stories are equivalent to the efforts or days they are going to take? Because generally this is what our observation is on the team. Like if they are estimating it as 3 points or 5 points, they will spend whole time or they will utilize everything for those 5 days or 3 days. And how much ever we explain, it is the complexity, not the number of days, but it is really difficult to bring them out of that mindset. And every sprint we end up delivering only the 20 points or 25 points because that's how 2 week sprints we run.
That's a, very good question, and that happens many a times because I have seen from my experience, I'm telling you, when comparative story is not in front of them, then what they do is they tend to estimate it hours-wise. But in that case, what you can do maybe on the wall, you have comparative stories or baseline stories so that you can tell them this particular story was of size 1, this story was of size 3. Where do you see this particular story going in? So give them that story in the sticky form or something like that. Ask them to go and put somewhere in between or relevant on the right side of certain stories. So they would compare those stories now. But if you do not show them comparative story, they may end up getting into hours estimation because that's what we used to do it in earlier times. And anyways, even if you compare, people will not absolutely go away from his hour-based estimation. They will still think of, but that should be just a part of it, not the holistic part as only hour-based estimation. Does that answer your question?
Theoretically, yes.
Theoretically, so I'm telling you from my practical experience, yes. So another thing that I did is I asked them how much complex is design.
Yes, sure, we'll give it a try.
Yeah, so I made a table of things like design, coding, duty, and then the UAT or something like that. So all this, I gave them 3, 4, 5 stories. The simplest story at the I said, how simple, medium, or complex is this work? Design, testing, duty, coding. So people said simple, simple. If all simple, then I would say consider, let's say 1. Okay. Now go to the story. How complex is doing design or testing for this particular story? So people would say simple, medium. Okay. Now they can have a comparative analysis. You see, all the simple is, if you're saying 1, then a little bit of medium coming into picture. So you might compare it that way also. So in those cases, I have seen people go to hours. So that's another second example I'm telling you that will help you.
Okay, sure.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks. Questions, please. I can see certain questions on chat. I already sent how much ever explained, but they take same amount of time to develop the test or more. How much ever we explain, they either take same amount of time to develop and test or more. Shikha says that. So Shikha, I think that's a different problem altogether. So it is not the problem of estimation, but it is the problem of, I think, the tracking. I would say that. Do people also estimate when they will finish? Shikha, do your people estimate? Yeah, they still finish at the same time?
Yes, yes.
Okay, is it the sprint?
If they estimate 3 points or 5 points, they take 5 whole days to complete that story for testing as well as development.
Okay, and one story pointer will also take 5 days?
No, that they will finish in 1 day. So they generally think if 1 point or 3 point, that is equivalent to the number of days.
Oh, equal to the number of days.
Yeah.
I know two ways to do it. So have you done it like that? I mean, visualizing all the stories in front of them. This is, so what you do is, I'm telling you, have 5 to 6 different stories on the board somewhere if you're into COVID situation now. So 5 different stories of different size, and then ask them, is this story more complex than the size 1? They'll say yes or no. Yes, then okay, go to story size 2. Is this more complex? Yes. Then go to next story. Is this more complex than this? Yes. And then you can ask question, why? Why? So what is the level of complexity? How would you check that? I told you the complexity of doing certain things like the design, UT, coding, or testing. How much complexity is? What are those scenarios? You know? So that's how you can actually ask them to compare. Yeah. Some more questions.
Thank you, Vijay.
Yeah, welcome. How much ever explain? Could you please explain how manage team when they always relate points with number of days? I think Shikha, that's what I answered now.
Yes, yes.
Sure. I have a question, Shikha. I think I answered that. Any more questions here? Pick theme, feature, then user stories. So you have never given an initial estimate to your customer. Okay, Gurneet says, so you have never given an initial estimate to your customer? Yes, we have given. For an example, in IT or in Agile implementations also. So I'm telling you from my experience, what we used to do is customer generally asks, when will you finish this? Okay. So what we used to do, we used to have 2 days of workshop with all the people in one room. We have the product owner, we have the sales manager, people sometimes from marketing also, and people who are actually implementing it. So people who are actually implementing it, they have in front of them the person to answer their queries. So we started something called as, rather than this pointing, there's also something called as the t-shirt sizing, small, medium, large. Okay. In this way, we started estimating. What we used to have from the earlier delivery, some comparative stories in front of them. And I started asking them, hey guys, we have around these stories. So with a new story, with new understanding or with new acceptance criteria, where would you like to put it? So we used to get simple, medium, small, medium, large, extra large. Now we used to extrapolate it. So we break the smallest story into small tasks and roughly how much time it's going to take, roughly. And then maybe it takes that much. So maybe extrapolate it that way. So you can do that extrapolation. However, that extrapolation may be again wrong, but it would give you some ballpark figure. So we also do this maybe for an year or something like that. We take those requirements because we are working in an environment wherein predictability is very much required. Especially I'm in given situation, we are working on railways softwares. So there, the predictability is very much required because a lot of money we put into this particular sector and it has to release on certain day. If we don't release it, we might lose certain bigger contracts. So your question is absolutely valid. We give estimations, but we do big bang estimations in that case. However, these estimations we were telling you about the sprint level estimations. We can actually do it for the next coming sprint. So that would be more detailed estimation than the small, medium, large estimation. Okay, Rajesh asks whether there's only one way concluding at an average in case of no consensus. No, there are multiple ways of doing it. So the best way is you can take the highest one. If there is a lot of difference between the smallest number and the highest number, in that case, this situation, like Sid also said, that is kind of question mark. So wherein the situation is not so clear or the requirements are not clear, in that case, maybe you would like to do some R&D, research or spike. Okay, so you ask your people that go to next sprint and do some research on this. Okay, maybe you would like to break this requirement into smaller chunks, or maybe sometimes your people are not so skillful to understand out requirement or implementation aspect. So maybe you would call a certain subject matter expert from other team, or maybe from your organization who has done this kind of work together earlier, and then break it into some smaller complexity work, and then he or she would be able to help you with new understanding. With new understanding, you would estimate. So new understanding can be by the help of a subject matter expert, or by the help of doing POCs or spikes, I'm telling you, research. High level idea of how long is the project going to take? How do you do epic sizing? I was telling you that especially the higher level requirement at the start of the project, we do epic level sizing, small, medium, large, extra large, and we compare it with the earlier available data. If you do not have earlier available data, maybe we do a trial sprint, something where the newly formed team, when it's a newly formed team, then you actually implement it and see how much it takes for people. They will understand this kind of complexity, take this much, one sprint or two sprint kind of, then based on that, you will extrapolate it for the release. Are we estimating spikes as well? See, spikes is not the complexity that you have in front of you. It is like you want to get how much complex it would be. You would like to get into details of certain things so that you can estimate. So I would not suggest generally to estimate spike. Estimating spike would be how much time you would like to give to that. Say maybe Amol wants to do that spike. You would ask how much time you would like to spend on it. So Amol says, I would like to work with Azhar. So I will try for next 2 to 3 days, maximum 3 days. So I will come with some conclusion. So in that case, for spikes, I would say the time and how many people are working on it is of more importance than sizing of it. So sizing is basically for the work that you would do and not exactly spiking.
Yeah, thanks, Vijay. So my next question is, in a Scrum team, suppose there are few developers and few testers. So for estimation of one user story, that consider the user story might be difficult for the developer to develop. So might be they will give some high story points, and it might be easy for testers. So they will give some low story points. Suppose the other way we can say the developers might be consider the user stories as in simple to develop,
Yeah.
but for a tester it is difficult to for the testing. Then in this case, how we can how we can estimate these user stories where we can find a big difference between developers and testers?
The only answer is the iteration, the rounds. I am saying 1, 2, 3, and give more clarity to them. For an example, when I was a developer, I sometimes used to say that this is only one-liner code I have to change, and it's just a 5-minute job for me. But however, tester has to test it so many things. So now in that case, if tester have to test these things, I will also have to test it, right? So that I have whatever implementation I am doing is right, and it's not breaking the build or the other features. So in that case, what I used to do, oh yes, the tester is giving those many scenarios. It means I will also have to test it after doing these changes. Okay, it's not like that I just do one-liner change and give it to tester. I will have to make sure that that code is working well. If that's the environment you are working, people should converge. Yes, sometimes you are saying that one case I have seen, people have to code a lot, but test cases might be little less. So tester might say that, yeah, this is very, very simple. But the moment you go into a little bit of detail, ask developer rephrasing questions, why you feel it's more complex, and the developer would give those scenarios to you. This is what I will have to create this function. This function also relates to another function. This gets data from that function and fetching data from database to more functions and giving it as an outcome to some output. In that case, what tester will feel, oh, okay, so in that case, I will have to do a little bit of interface testing with those functions. So generally what will happen, even developer or tester would generally converge with these situations, because development and testing is generally hand to hand. but the conversation is required and a right facilitator is required. If we can ask those detailing questions or coaching questions. Sid is here, is a really great coach. So do you have, Sid, do you have any suggestions here?
Dear. See, we are beyond your time, but anyways,
Let's say that. Okay, sure.
if you can kindly give me a few minutes.
Yes.
The first thing what I want to put across to everybody is that estimation is in points, planning is in hours, and the complexity has got nothing to do with time. All right. Now, let me give a I shall try to give a very simple example. And let us say I want to build a website where I want to sell chocolates, right? This also considers the priorities. So I want to build a website where I want to sell chocolates, all right? Now, when the business, the product owner, which is representing the business, I'm sorry, does everybody here is from India? Or there somebody from outside India as well?
Yes, we have outside India also.
Okay, so then I will continue in English. Otherwise, I would have interjected with Hindi words as well. So we have we have this example of where a business wants to build a website where they want to sell chocolates. Now the product owner comes to me and he says, "Look, my priority number one, is to have a login page, right? Why? Well, if my customer can't log in, how is he going to buy my chocolates? And for me, what is value is why am I building this website? Because I want to sell chocolates. Now let us look at it from the team's point of view. We're looking at doing a login page. Okay, doesn't matter we are doing it in HTML or we are doing it in PHP or we're doing it in Java or whatever. Doesn't matter the what coding we are using. Now to build a login page is what, 25 minutes, 30 minutes at the most. But when I go to the team and I say, hey, this is the business priority number one, and they want a login page and they want it now, they want it yesterday. The team is going to tell me, hang on, just a moment. When you say a login page is going to have a login, whether that's an email address or some login name. It's going to have a password. And then you're going to click something and that's how you're going to log in, right? So yeah.
Hello?
Takes what, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to build that? It's not a big deal.
Did we lose Sid?
Sorry? Sorry, anybody had a question in between?
I think Vijay is having connection issues. Sid, I could able to hear you. Not sure about others.
Okay. So let me carry on. So the example was where the business says we want a login page, and I take that idea to the team. The team will say, hang on, you want to put in that login and password and click and get a login. Yeah. What is that login and password going to refer to? It's going to refer to a database. And my database guy is going to say, it's going to take me 10 days just to build the database, because I'm not building the database just for your login page. I'm going to build the database for the whole site. Right? So I have to think in terms of the entire site and then decide that my database is going to have, well, so many tables, so many columns, so many rows, da 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 da. So what the idea I'm trying to put across here is that complexity has got nothing to do with time. That login page will take only 20 minutes, will take only half an hour to build. But the database guy wants 10 days just to build, just to think about and design his database. That I'm talking about the DBA, the database architect, right? So let us not what I want everybody to appreciate and understand is that complexity has got nothing to do with the time. My login page is not complex. It's very simple. But we will not be able to do that login page today because the database is not ready. So time is something different. Complexity is something different. I don't know whether people have understood, people agree. If anybody has questions.
Yes. So as also Sid said, thank you so much, Sid, for clarifying. In the meantime, I also went off, my network went down.
Right.
So this estimation technique, the primary motivation is just not to come out with some estimation, but to clarify the situation so that everyone has the better understanding of the requirement and have consensus about it. And the assumptions that people have made should be clarified by virtue of this. That's the motivation of planning poker estimation or sizing estimation. Okay, it's just not coming out with an estimate which can be or which cannot be accurate, but to come out with details or clarification of requirement and bringing in consensus. That's the agenda. Yeah, so I think people are also answering question about not relating hours and the story points as also said. So thank you so much, Sid. So
thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure. So I think we are a little late by 14 minutes. If you have any questions, I would put my email ID here in the chat room. You can just send us the questions. Another session we are going to have is on the story, user stories. So in that case, we'll also connect some things, especially people are saying about epic and stories kind of, so that will also answer it there. Yeah. So yeah, I think it was good. Thank you so much. Yes,
it was a great session, Vijay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, 1 hour cannot be sufficient for everything.
Yes, indeed.
But I wanted to just make sure a point that there's nothing called as accurate estimation. The idea of this particular estimation is to converge and bring in more knowledge and reduce the assumptions. That's it. So thank you so much. Please give me a feedback here and thank you so much, Sid, for coming in and helping us with your knowledge. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care. See ya.
Thank you, Vijay and Sid. Thank you. Bye-bye.